Well, it's a beautiful morning here at Kent's Bank railway station as we park up to start our walk to Humphrey Head. This walk is based around the southern area of the Lake District National Park, not far from Grange-over-Sands at a place called Kent's Bank. After parking at the railway station, we'll walk along the coastline, down to the very tip of Humphrey Head itself, back over the summit, to the Outward Bound Centre, and then retrace our steps back to the start. So the first thing we have to do is cross the railway line. There's no bridge, all you have to do is cross by the boarded walk. Once across, turn right and you'll see the coastal path there in front of you. There certainly won't be many walks like this in my series of videos and vlogs, because we're now right on the coast of Cumbria, down at the southern tip, and we're going to walk along here. You can see the woodland behind me, and that's Humphrey Head. It's not really classed as a fell, not by no sense of the imagination. Even Wainwright admits that when he writes about it in his book, The Outlying Fells of Lakeland, because it rises to only 172 feet above sea level, and we're almost at sea level here. We're walking alongside the salt marshes of Morecambe Bay, and just to this side is the railway line that goes round the outside of Cumbria. And away over here in front of me, as I'm looking at it now, I can see the Howgill Fells on this side, and then Ingleborough, way down to Morecambe, and right down there to Heysham. It's a beautiful day, and it's a very simple path. You can see behind me there the concrete path that goes along the coast, and then it takes me round to Humphrey Head. Something totally different. After about 3/4 of a mile, the path turns left towards the headland, leaving the railway line behind us. We pass in front of White House Farm. We're fortunate today because the path is really quite dry, but I can imagine in winter when there's been high tides or rain, then this is going to be quite a boggy path, so come prepared. After a short distance, the wall on your right comes to an end, where there's a gate. We'll come through that gate later, but don't go through it this time. Keep to the left and follow down towards the headland on the path. Now, just as a warning, it's not quite straightforward along this route. There was a few fallen trees and a few boggy patches even on a day like today. If you read the revised guide of the Outlying Fells of Lakeland, in the description of this walk, it says that there's a bent down bit of barbed wire fence which allows you to get into the woodland on Humphrey Head. Well, I've walked all the way along here now, and there is a barbed wire fence here. It sort of comes out as a small enclosure away from the wood, and it's not very high, but it's a good fence, and I haven't found a break in it yet that I could comfortably get over without ruining the fence, and more importantly, where I could get Bailey over without him causing injury to himself. Well, I'm just carrying on down, and as you can see, I've got to the end of that enclosure now, and I've kept the limestone escarpment to my right, but I couldn't see an obvious way of getting over the fence, and it's not the great idea to trample over people's enclosure boundaries unless it's already been done or there's a stile or something. It's just one of those things. You have to make some of these walks up as you go along and be prepared to do a bit of variation. But we'll carry on now and we'll get down to the tip of Humphrey Head. Wow, what a day I've chosen to do this walk. That's Humphrey Head up behind me, and I walked down to the southern tip of the limestone promontory here. I haven't been to the top yet, that's still to come. But look at it, it's a perfect summer's day. Hardly a breath of wind, bright blue sky, and nobody else about, just me and Bailey. The thrift growing amongst the rocky outcrops, mixed in with the nice golden lichen, and then you can see the spring flowers up in the meadow on the head itself. And in the other direction, let me just show you, I'm looking to the south across Morecambe Bay, and the tide has completely gone out, and I'm just looking at a sea of sand. That's amazing. Now, I realise, of course, not every day is going to be like this, but this is the joys of doing this new project, the Lakeland 365. I've been able to come down, explore places that I've never ever been before, and I nearly wasn't coming here today. I thought, well, I'll do something else, I'll go up and do a fell. How glad I am that I did this. I must admit, I could have sat here for ages. It was a beautiful day and I could have sketched and painted here for quite a while. But it was time to move on. So we headed to the north, over the rise of Humphrey Head. I don't think I could have planned my first visit to Humphrey Head better. On a perfect day when the buttercups and the daisies were in full bloom. And I loved the windswept trees. The way they were leant over shows that not every day is going to be like this. And this is the summit of Humphrey Head. What a glorious place. Now, this may be the trick column, but I have a feeling, I remember reading somewhere that the actual highest point is some way to the north. So I think it's on the next rise, but that's pedantics. That's neither here nor there. This is too good a place on too good a day to mess about with fine detail. I think I've seen 2 people today, and that's it. rest of the time it's just me and Bailey to take in the wonderful weather and the wonderful wildflowers. Just a carpet of buttercups and daisies. And then mixed in amongst them are some real specialities like a few orchids and rock rose. I've seen thrift and sea campion. Really good selection today, very enjoyable. From here we're going to head up north along the path and then make our way back down to the salt marsh and around back to the railway station. You can tell how much warmer it is here than where we live up in Teesdale. They've already made a first cut of silage and it forms a nice patchwork of colour across the valley. And that's what Wainwright describes as the cliffs of Humphrey Head. While the east side sort of drops down on a slope towards the salt marsh, this side is a vertical cliff. A bit more cloaked in trees and scrub now, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a good subject on a late winter's evening as the sun would set down over there and you get the light hitting the cliffs. Might be worth coming back for that sometime. That's if I'm not too busy elsewhere. We're now approaching the outdoor centre at the bottom end of the pasture, and I've noticed that there's a herd of cows sitting over there. Look like Friesians, but they're all lying down in the sun. But just to be safe, we're going to give them a bit of a wide berth. Never trust cows. But they saw Bailey just up on the rise there. I don't think they're that bothered. As you can tell by the paraphernalia, this will be the outdoor centre. And when we get to the gate, we want to turn right and go down the footpath that'll lead us back to the other side of the promontory of Humphrey Head and back to the salt marsh. Yeah, Bailey. Bailey. Actually, it's a little bit deceptive. If you look at the map, it looks as if the footpath goes just to the north of the buildings. Well, the gate says private, and sure enough, it is private, because where we want to be is this footpath, which is over this wall and this little country lane. So we'll have to go down the tarmac road a little bit more and then round, and I'm sure we'll pick up the footpath there. No big problem. Yep, there we are. This is the footpath we need to take. It was just a simple little diversion, but I've never been here before, so I know next time. It's a lovely short stretch of enclosed country lane. Delightful walking, with the Outward Bound Centre just up on your right. Well, it's a refreshing breeze. The wind is just being tunnelled up through this hedgerow, and the cool air coming off the salt marsh. Lovely. And this is the gate that we passed earlier in the walk. At the end of the wall. And we went along there. So now what we have to do is follow the wall around the edge of the salt marsh and back to Kent's Bank. What a beautiful display of May blossom. What do they say? Ne'er cast a clout till May is out. Well, the May's out now. And here we are back at Kent's Bank Station. Wow, just like Michael Portillo, I sit on a railway station and a train comes along, except I'm not wearing red trousers and a bright green jacket, and this one's not stopping. Blow me, there's another one coming the other way. Look like nuclear boxes from Sellafield. And peace is restored. Anyway, back to the walk. That was a cracking walk. I would rate that very highly. Despite the lack of height, it's just such a different walk for me. It's a coastal walk. I haven't been walking on the coast for ages. And the variety of landscape with the salt marsh and then the woodland and then the meadow on the top. And of course the big open sand of Morecambe Bay. Great variety. I'd love to come back here at another season, probably in the winter, maybe on a really wild day, and that would be quite interesting to do. I wouldn't do maybe this coastal walk, but just go right up over the headland. But yeah, very enjoyable that. Highly recommended. Meantime, time for a cup of tea. Once I got back home to the studio, I started work on the preliminary sketches for some paintings of Humphrey Head. These are part of the Lakeland 365 project which I'm working on. So keep an eye on my website and you'll see these paintings develop. I hope you've enjoyed this film. If you have, do click the like button and even better, subscribe to my channel. But once again, thanks for watching.